Hi everybody, this is the intro to our Aspiring NED program for 2024. And Taruna, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I just thought I'd run through a little bit of history on the program and how we kind of got to it. About 8 years ago, I took the concept to the Africa leadership team, and they agreed it was time for us to start a program that directly impacted our aspiring NEDs and specifically our partners, soon to be retiring partners, but also friends of the firm. And we've included those individuals in about 10 sessions now to date. And these sessions really are around how does one prepare themselves and get ready for a NED role in either listed or unlisted companies. Importantly, what we did is we sourced those in the know, those experienced NEDs that we could talk to, that we could interact with in these sessions, including Professor Mervyn King, Professor Palmi Natasan, Linda De Beer, Gloria Sarobi, and a list of other individuals. What we have found over the last 7 years now, since the program actually started, was that 14 of our partners have in fact been placed in NED roles. And I personally like to think that a lot of that resulted from these particular sessions. So we're certainly looking forward to an active year with these aspiring NED sessions.
And Anton, maybe you can share with the audience just what we can expect from the 2024 program. So what is the Aspiring NED program, overall, and what are some of the aims of the program?
Sure. So I think the main thing is for our audience, both soon to retire partners and friends of the firm, for them to understand the role and the concept of a non-executive director. I think it's also important that they get to understand the attributes that they might need, the skills, and not only that, also going about how do we secure positions in the market? How do we get roles, NED roles? And once we get those roles, what is it that we should be doing? Now, bear in mind, this is not effectively a training session. It's very much an awareness program that allows the audience to ask questions of the panel. And those panel members are, as I said earlier on, are very experienced NEDs. And it also allows an individual to decide where, in fact, they want to hone their skill or use the skill that they have on a board or on an audit committee, risk committee, or whatever the case may be. So those who do sign up for the course, I think, need to come prepared for that. Also prepared to ask questions, and also seek out, like I said, we've had Palmi on a couple of these now, and what she's done is she's helped direct those individuals to, following a particular path and study. So doing the certified director, the chartered director qualification, and also what the IOD can offer. So like I said, this is not a one shop fits all, but it kind of gives the participants good direction as to where they should be headed with regard to being a non-exec.
Yep.
But maybe on that, while you ask me a question, my question would be, so what is on your program this year? If one thinks, and maybe before I get your answer, if you look at the audience that we normally have in these sessions, a lot of those individuals are well skilled in a range of different areas. And I think what often happens is individuals who aspire to be NEDs kind of forget how they can mature that skill or even use that skill or leverage that skill on boards. If we think of our cyber specialists, we think of our asset management specialists, our audit and risk, our corporate governance specialists I'm talking about now in the firm, I'm sure those individuals would kind of want to know, how do they hone that particular skill for an NED role? But I'm sure you've got some other ideas as well.
No, Anton, I think you spot on in terms of the focus area for the 2024 program. So it's really to bring some of those emerging topics to these aspiring NEDs and to help them to understand what's the relevance of some of these developments, specifically for the NED role, while also focusing on some of the basics, right? The roles and responsibilities when you step into the role as a director. What does this mean from a regulatory perspective? So we'll be trying to cover all of that through the current year program. I think what we also try and aim to do with this particular program is to create an opportunity for networking and connection. So it is an opportunity for, your aspiring non-execs to meet with other individuals who are at a similar stage of their career and to leverage off those relationships. And as you mentioned earlier, Anton, it's also about bringing some of those practical perspectives to the fore. So rather than a theoretical program around what it means to be a director, we're really aiming to bring experienced non-execs, many of whom you've mentioned, to share some of the practical insights of what they're seeing in the boardroom. And perhaps to round us off, Anton, maybe you can share just what do you see as some of the roles and responsibilities of these aspiring NEDs as they look to transition into this new role?
Yeah, thanks, Tarun. I think the roles that, particularly if we look at aspiring non-execs, and bear in mind as well, to these sessions, we also do invite those who already have an NED positions, and that kind of, I think, rounds up the audience quite nicely. So you've got a good blend of individuals in the sessions. But I would say, and maybe take my position, and if you don't mind, I'll use myself as an example. As I say, I started this process 8 years ago. I've been very privileged to chair these sessions for the last 7 years since we actually started the first session. And I personally look at the experienced director, and I want to hear from them. How did they get to that position? What attributes did they think were appropriate? What skills should they hone in on and develop? And then also, just learning from the rest of the team that is there. It is a process, and I'm retiring for the second time in 5 months' time. And at the moment I'm kind of going through a process of preparing my CV. What should I have in that CV? What of the attributes that I do have, what should I include in that CV? And who do I share it with? To see, how do I now secure that role for myself? And I think that journey is important. I've done the Chartered Director qualification, which I'd recommend to any aspiring director. I've kept very close to the IODs. My time on the King Committee, I chair the Board Governance Forum for the IOD. So I've become involved there, which has helped me build my network. But I think now, now the rubber's going to hit the road. And now it's time to kind of, will what I've done actually ensure that I secure a role, and I'm skilled in that role as well. So I do think, and I mentioned earlier on, it's important for those individuals to ask those questions of themselves. Do I have the attributes? Do I have the skill? What could I learn in these sessions? What else should I do to develop myself to become ready for a non-executive position? And I think these sessions do provide that. So my recommendation to anyone watching this is please sign up for the session. We've proven that it does work. 14 of our partners have been placed. A lot of our individuals that are part of those sessions come and repeat. They come back to the session. So that would be my ask of anyone watching this. But thank you, Taruna, very much.
No, thank you, Anton.